I'm about to share with you all one of the best speed farming builds in the game. I legitimately think that this can rival demon hunters and monks when it comes to speed farming. Maybe not quite as fast because, monks have really good abilities to teleport around and demon hunters are super quick as well. This is maybe just one tier behind that, but it's seriously very, very fast, very effective, and I'm super impressed with this and really excited to share it with everybody. I've already uploaded a demonstration on the Whirlwind speed farming demon. This is the in-depth guide. I'm going to show you everything I'm using, some of the options and variety that you can actually include yourself and experiment with. It's all good. Some things I definitely would recommend making sure that you use, and some things I'll mention that you can take out, swap around and experiment with. It's totally fine. This is the season of grandeur, so obviously that's going to make a difference with items as well, as opposed to a non-season speed farming build where you don't have that buff. Stuff it. I'm too excited now. I'm going to talk about this build. So let's have a look. Let's start with the skills. This is for the Barbarian class, and this is definitely the best speed farming build for the Barbarian class, and one of the best ones in the game. I really think it rivals any other speed farming build. Like I said, maybe one tier under the super fast monks and demon hunters, but definitely up there, and it's super fun. You can, don't even have to really watch the screen. You basically just hold down one button. So what we're using here in our skills, we're using Ignore Pain with Bravado. Bravado increases our speed, so it's definitely everything that we're using, pretty much we're targeting speed increasing. Whirlwind with Volcanic Eruption. Now it depends with what you choose here. It's very optional. It depends on your gear. Because my gear is definitely geared towards fire elemental damage, that's why I'm using Volcanic Eruption to really take advantage of all of the fire plus damage that I have in my gear, which I'll get to in a second. But you can definitely use Blood Funnel as well. This will restore life. If you've got survivability issues, you can definitely use that. Wind Shear, you can gain Fury, but we're not going to have any issues with Fury. Hurricane's pretty cool too. It's a cold damaging rune, and it pulls enemies towards you, so it's just, it kills more efficiently as well. So it's very optional, but I like my Volcanic Eruption with fire damage in my gear. So let's keep on going. Sprint with Marathon, Wrath of the Berserker with Insanity, Battle Rage with Ferocity, Warcry with Impunity. Now, for our passives, we're using Ruthless, Weapons Master, Boon of Vulcathos, and Brawler. You're probably wondering why we're not using Berserker Rage. The reason we're not using Berserker Rage is because we have a Hellfire Amulet equipped, and we get that passive through the Hellfire Amulet. So we have a 5th passive. So obviously Hellfire Amulet's pretty handy for a build like this. Speaking of amulets and all of the gear that I mentioned, let's actually have a look at it. Like I mentioned, this is the season of grandeur. So we've got the Ring of Royal grandeur buff, which means we can have one set item less and we still get the full bonuses. So we're using Wrath of the Waste set here, armor set, and I've only got 5 items equipped because it's the season of grandeur. We get the full 6 set bonus. As you can see, they're all highlighted there. So we've got the helm, the shoulders, the gloves, the chest, and the boots. 5 plus the grandeur buff equals the 6 set bonus there. Now, don't panic, because if it's non-season and you're wondering what to do, there's a couple rings here that are definitely optional. You can swap out, which I'll get to in a second. Or you can also just have 6 items equipped. Totally up to you. But before we get into the other items, let's have a look at the actual bonuses you get for this set. So for 2 pieces, it increases the damage per second of Rend by 500% and its duration to 15 seconds. This doesn't matter because we're not using Rend, and believe me, you don't want to use Rend because it just halts your Whirlwind for a split second and it ruins everything. So we don't want to use Rend, and it also jeopardizes our Fury generation as well, and we're not at max Fury, so we won't get that awesome buff from the Hellfire Amulet here, which we have the Berserker Rage, so we do extra damage at max Fury. Long story short, you don't want to use Rend. It just doesn't go with this. We don't need it anyway, even though it's definitely included big time in 2 of the bonuses here. For 4 pieces, during Whirlwind and for 3 seconds after, you gain 50% damage reduction and your applied Rends deal triple damage. So some of you will be tempted to use Rend. I've tried it. It doesn't work. Believe me, ignore it for now. You can definitely experiment and try and put it in there, but the way that I've built this, you don't need Rend, trust me. So for 6 pieces, this is the big one. For the 6-piece bonus, Whirlwind gains the effect of the Dust Devil's rune, and all Whirlwind damage is increased by 10,000%. So obviously when you're picking your rune here, like I was talking about, it's optional. Don't pick Dust Devils because it's already active, so just choose one of these bad boys. You've also got Blood Funnel, which increases physical damage as well. So trust me, it's going to be all good. Don't choose Dust Devils. Choose one of these ones, just depending on what you have equipped elemental damage wise. So I've explained 5 pieces, and with the 5 pieces, because we get the 6-piece bonus with the Grandeur buff, I'm using the Hexing Pants of Mr. Yan here for my pants instead of a 6th Wrath of the Wastes armor item. And for Hexing Pants of Mr. Yan, how it works is the legendary stat here, your resource generation and damage is increased by 25% while moving and decreased by 25% while standing still. We're going to be moving the whole time. We're not going to be standing still at all for any reason. We're literally just going to be whirlwinding the whole time. The only time we might halt whirlwind is if we have to stop and click and pick up items like Death's Breath or legendary items that drop. That's the only time you're gonna stop. And if you're not someone that's worried about Death's Breath and picking up legendaries just after primals and XP or something like that, then it's going to save you even more time. You're not going to be stopping at all. So Hexing Pants, I think, is pretty nice and goes well with this build during this Season of Grandeur. Like I mentioned, I'm using the Hellfire Amulet, which is super awesome and gives you a chance to have an extra passive. So instead of the 4 that we've already gone through, we've got the 5th one, which is Berserker Rage. Definitely a very handy one there. It increases our damage when we're near, I think it's 90% Fury. So we're going to be at pretty much full Fury the whole time. And even if we do run out, we're going to be using Warcry, and that's going to regenerate Fury as we go. So I wouldn't really worry about Fury regeneration. We're never at a risk of losing Fury here. So definitely want to get some stats such as, you know, Strength, Vitality, crit chance, crit damage if it was possible, and also elemental damage like there. Like I mentioned, I've got fire skills that popped up on my Hellfire Amulet. So I'm using my Volcanic Eruption for the Whirlwind rune. Also make sure that you have a socket. Very, very important. Make sure you have a socket. For our braces, we're using Nemesis braces. This is going to make things go by even quicker because every pylon or shrine that we click on or activate will also summon an elite, and that will also give us more orbs once we kill the elite. We're just going to run through him like he doesn't exist anyway. The belt, Chilanix chain. So using Warcry increases the movement speed for us, and it lasts for 10 seconds. So every time we do Warcry here, it increases our movement speed, as you can see. That mixed with what do you call it, Ignore Pain, we're going to be moving so damn quick, it's not funny. So lots of movement speed happening here, and like I said, we stack it up big time for this build. And Warcry, I mean, you can experiment with other belts, but I would definitely leave this one there. I mean, you can experiment with the Witching Hour. If survivability is an issue, then you can go with Gold Wrap as well, because picking up gold will give you armor for 5 seconds equal to the amount that you've picked up. But like with Ignore Pain, with Wrath of the Berserker, with all your buffs up, I don't think survivability is an issue here at all, unless you just forget to activate your Ignore Pain. But Chilanix Chain, definitely awesome for movement speed increase and extra damage. The rings, I'm using the Stone of Jordan just for a bit of elite damage, elite percentage increased damage. So it's like not one of the requirements when it comes to rings. It's just one of the options. So like I said, if it's a non-grandeur season, or if you're playing this outside of season mode, or the season ends and you're watching this video, you can just put in the Ring of Royal Grandeur in there, either there or in Canized Cube. The one ring you must have equipped is the Skull Ring, and we're going to get to that, which is in Canized Cube shortly. Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac is also optional. Like you can swap it out, but I'd probably swap out Stone of Jordan before anything if you're experimenting. Basically, because this reduces the cooldown of by 1 second for our skills if we're hitting with a resource spending attack, which we are, because Whirlwind is a resource spending attack. And every time that we're whirlwinding, we're actually increasing our cooldown reduction, and that will also increase how quickly we can reactivate Ignore Pain, Warcry for speed increasing, and also Wrath of the Berserker for survivability and damage. So definitely pretty handy, that ring. It's probably the second most important, I think, but Stone of Jordan definitely can be swapped out. Hexing Pants of Misthian we've gone through. We're using the Bull Kathos Warrior Blood with the Bull Kathos Solemn Vow, which is the Bull Kathos Oath set. And what happens here, if you have them both equipped, it increases Fury Regeneration by 15, which means that's why when we're using Whirlwind, which is a Fury spending attack, we're not actually spending that much Fury. So during Whirlwind, you gain 45% increased attack speed and movement speed. So lots of movement speed stacking here. We're going to be going through this super fast, and doing heaps of damage, baby. And that covers all the gear, the gems. So you definitely want the cooldown reduction gem here, which is the diamond gem. For your chests and pants here, you can definitely go with all rubies, which I would have done. The only reason I've got some diamonds equipped, the 3 diamonds, is because I've been augmenting my gear. So I've run out of Flawless Royal Ruby gems. Other than that, I definitely use rubies, but you can also whack in the diamond gems if you find yourself dying a lot and you're lacking in survivability. It just depends, you know, on your Paragon points, your gear, and, you know, other, you know, variables that you might have gone with. So if survivability is an issue, you can always try and throw in some diamond gems instead of putting like the gold wrap into your belt slot there, because Chilanix chain is definitely very nice. So I'd probably try and keep Chilanix in there, leave gold wrap out. If you're dying a lot, just whack in your resistance gems, which are the diamond gems there. But you should be fine with like all your buffs up plus Ignore Pain. If anything, try and get some more cooldown reduction so you can keep Ignore Pain up more often, and that way survivability goes up as well. The legendary gem, super important. Boon of the Hoarder. It gives you 100% chance on killing an enemy to cause an explosion of gold. So every time we're killing enemies, gold's exploding everywhere. We're picking it up and we're increasing our movement speed because we gain 30% increased movement speed after picking up gold. We're going to be picking up gold the whole time because enemies are just going to be dying instantly as soon as we're whirlwinding into them, and we're going to be moving that much faster. So as you can see, the movement speed increases here is insane. The other legendary gem we're using is Taeguk, and the third one is Bane of the Trapped, which is pretty much a necessity for most builds these days. Everyone's using a Bane of the Trapped, and why not? It's definitely very nice and a huge damage increase. That is pretty much all for gear. If you have any questions about it, oh, one last thing, just make sure that for your helm and for your boots there, make sure that you enchant one of those abilities into whirlwind damage, and it goes up to 15%. I've only got 14% rolled at the moment, and honestly, I'm not struggling at all with running this build, so everything's pretty much dying instantly. But obviously, try and go for 15%, depending on your materials. You know, some of you might get 15% rather quickly, like first roll, you might get 15%. Great. So just so you're aware, the maximum here that you can roll, that you can enchant, is 15%. All right, so make sure you get that whirlwind damage for your boots and also for your helm there. And like I mentioned, I've got fire damage here on my amulet. I've got fire damage here on my braces, and that's why 37% increase in fire damage is a 37% increase for my whirlwind with volcanic eruption. So that's why I've gone for volcanic eruption. I hope that makes sense. Now let's go through Canai's Cube really quickly, and then we'll just do a demonstration, and then it's up to you all to also give this build a go, experiment, and let me know what you think. Excuse me, it's the morning here. So looking at Canai's Cube here, for our weapon, we're using the Furnace, increased damage against these by 50%. Armor, Mantle of Channeling, extra survivability as we're whirlwinding, and jewelry, very important. This ring must be either equipped or in Canai's Cube. It's the Skull Grasp ring, the Skull Ring. It increases the damage of whirlwind by 400%. So big damage increase. You cannot afford not to have this legendary stat. So make sure you've either got it equipped or you can have it slotted in Can Ice Cube. Like I said, if you're going to swap out a ring, swap out Stone of Jordan, you can experiment with some other stuff that way. Paragon Points. So you want to make sure that movement speed is capped at 25%. That's through Paragon Points and through your items. I don't have any movement speed increases on my items. That's not including like the gems and the skills and the bonuses that I was talking about multiplying. I'm talking about just the equipped items. Usually on the boots it'll have like an increased movement speed, but obviously Whirlwind is there at the moment, increased Whirlwind damage. So there's no item that has plus movement speed on their stats, so I've gone for 25% straight into Can Ice Cube, and 25% is this cap. So no point going higher than that because it ain't going to work. This doesn't include obviously like the gems, the skills and everything else that we're using to multiply our movement speed increase. Our buffs as well, that gives us that movement speed increase. It doesn't include all that. This is just raw off the items we have equipped, which have plus movement speed increase, and also the Paragon Points. So 25% maximum, which is done there, and everything else into strength. With your offense, you want to go to cooldown reduction, then split it evenly between critical hit chance, critical hit damage, and then finally attack speed. That's if you're not capped like I am. Obviously, I've got enough Paragon Points to just invest them to max capacity in each skill, so it doesn't really matter, but I'm just going through them in order for those of you that haven't got enough points to actually max out everything just yet. For defense, resist all first, then armor, then life regen. With utility, we want to go area damage, then life per hit, then resource cost reduction, and then gold find, in that order. Obviously, if you're maxed out, just whack them all in there, and don't forget to get 25% movement speed increase cap between Paragon Points and the equipped items, and then everything else into strength. I feel as though I have babbled enough. Sometimes my build videos go a little bit too long because I just want to get into all of the finer details and make sure all of my lovely people, my beautiful 13ers out there, are comfortable with what you're doing. So I think I've covered everything there. All of the gear, the skills, everything's covered. Let's just go do an example, and if there is something that I've missed, or if you want some real finer detail, just hit me up in the comments below, or shoot me a message on Instagram, direct message me on Instagram. I'll be happy to help y'all, no problem at all. So let's do a quick demo. Your creepy uncle's gonna do a quick demo here, and then I know that you'll have lives to live and we can get on with it. And then it's your turn to experiment and let me know how y'all go. All right, let's go have some fun. Let's do a Nephilim Rift and show what speed farming is all about with this barbaric demon. Let's go. So what I'm not going to do is try and like wait for the perfect map. Like obviously a nice outdoor map with a lot of density would be ideal. This is just complete random, luck of the draw. Whatever map it is, it is. So we're just going to do it, smash through it. It doesn't really matter. That's the beauty of this build. It's so damn quick, so good that, like, it's so fast. You know, it doesn't matter if you roll the perfect map or not. It'll still be, you're still going to run through it very, very quickly. And what you want to do is obviously activate your shouts as soon as you come in, your war cry and blood rage. And keep in mind, every time you reactivate Warcry or hit it again, you get that 40% movement speed increase because of Chilanic's Chain. Then Wrath of the Berserker, whenever you come across an elite pack, and obviously ignore pain when it's available, and that also increases your movement speed. Ignore pain, so keep that in mind. I probably only use ignore pain if I come across a bit of a sticky situation with a lot of elemental damage, kind of like here, where you're taking heaps of damage and Wrath of the Berserker is down. You want to activate Ignore Pain, and that also will give you a really big damage increase as well as survivability, ignoring most pain. Other than that, you want to spam your sprint, but not too much, because it does last for a few seconds, so just hit it, and that'll increase your movement speed, and also stack with your damage. And this is a pretty good map, this floor 2. Unstable Ascension, floor 2. So keep your sprints up, and as you can see, Wrath isn't being wasted away at all. It's super easy, it's super fast, and I think it's basically perfect. You know, you could probably swap out like the rings like I said and experiment with things, but as far as movement speed and damage goes, I think it's very well balanced, and we're smashing through so quick. Like, look at that, I'm not even really like fully concentrating on this. This is Torment 13 as well, max difficulty, and the example, this gameplay example, took hardly any time at all. It's just that damn easy. Ladies and gentlemen, I love you so much. A lot of you probably noticed that I actually already uploaded a Whirlwind build guide some time ago and accidentally deleted it. There's a whole, well, not funny, I like to say funny story, but a very inconvenient story on how you can actually delete your own videos if you're logged into your YouTube channel, and if you're queuing up videos at a party, or if you're having like if you're using YouTube with friends and everyone's queuing up videos, if your account's logged in and if your video is queued, be careful when you try and remove it from the queue, because if you click the three dots and then click delete thinking it's going to delete it from the queue, you'll actually delete it entirely from your YouTube channel, which is what happened to me. I think it's a very flawed system right now when it comes to queuing when you're logged in to your own channel on your own account. I'm not too sure if YouTube knows about it. I made a separate video explaining all of this, but that video went for nearly 30 minutes, which I'm sorry, I did ramble a lot, so I've tried to cut it back for this video, but I do like to, you know, focus on all the important details for everybody and make sure that everybody is fully comfortable and aware. But 30 minutes of work was huge for me. The amount of time it took to edit, render, like it was just before work as well. I was like really upset about it, and I apologize that it's taken so long to do a new one, but here it is anyway. And for those of you that are interested about some more details as to how I actually deleted it that day, I'll definitely link the video at the end of this one and you can check out my story. It's like a bit of a vlog story time with your creepy uncle. Thank you all for tuning in. Test out this build, let me know how it works for you. Don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Click that notification bell so that that way that you'll get all the notifications for your creepy uncle's videos and you can keep in touch and not miss out on a damn thing. And of course, if you don't want to subscribe or keep notified, just come back and visit. I'll be here, right here, waiting for you.